Welcome back to Stab the Dragon Productions for episode number 98, maybe, as we continue with the Texas Whiskey Tournament Rye Division. Match number 6. I do know that. This is match number 6. Tonight we have Acre Texas Rye 100 Rum Cask finished. There you go. Barrel number 87. And this is aged 3 years in charred white oak, finished an additional year in an Acre rum barrel. So this is rum finished versus Giant Straight Rye Whiskey, 100 proof. So the difference here, they're both 100 proof, but one's a finished whiskey. So which whiskey will win? Now, in the previous 5 whiskey matchups, I've guessed wrong 3 times. That's right, 3 out of 5 times I have picked a whiskey to win, and then the underdog pulled it out. Why is that? Well, the rules that I have imposed to pick the winner focus on rye flavor. Which whiskey has the best rye flavor? Then I'll also say that the proof seems to have had an impact because the 3 underdogs all had a proof advantage over the favored whiskey. But tonight, both of these competitors are fighting at 100 proof. My pick to win, the Acre Texas Rye rum finished. But we shall see. So just the facts. Giant Texas Rye is representing Gulf Coast Distillers, Giant Texas Distillers. It used to be Gulf Coast Distillers, and now I think it's Giant Texas Distillers. And in fact, it used to be Buffalo Bayou Distilleries when they first started. So it seems to me they've changed the names a few times here. To complicate things even further, the distillery, which they claim is the largest west of the Mississippi, used to be a coffee plant, Eximius Coffee, which has been owned by the Aldecoa family since the 1920s, and it started in Madrid, Spain. It left Spain due to the Spanish Civil War, and they went to Veracruz, Mexico. Then they moved to Houston in the 3rd generation, and this family is now distilling whiskey. So the distillery also, to add a little bit, another layer here, the distillery used to be, before it was a coffee factory, Uncle Ben's Rice building. So from Spanish coffee to Mexican coffee to Houston coffee, Uncle Ben's Rice, and now it's Giant Texas Distillery since 2015, I think. I purchased this bottle probably 2 years ago at Total Wine, and the price and availability at Total Wine is $39.99. This is February of 2023. Specs didn't have it. Goody Goody didn't have it. I remember having a wonderful experience with this whiskey upon opening and sampling 2 years ago. So Giant, really has a good Texas flavor. And if I remember right, it's probably a lower, there's no mash bill for it. But I think it's probably a lower rye content. I did watch a review by Rex and Daniel in the Whiskey Vault, and they say it tasted more like bourbon to them. And if I'm remembering right, I think they're correct. It tastes much more like a Texas bourbon. So I'm guessing it's a barely legal rye at 51% or thereabouts. And again, it's 100 proof in a 750 milliliter bottle. Acre Texas Rye Rum Cask finished. I got this in the fall of 2022 at the Acre Distillery as a special release, so it is not available in stores. While no mash bill is released for this whiskey, the bottle does say that it is malted rye and malted barley from Texas, malted and distilled and aged in Fort Worth, aged for a minimum of 2 years in new oak charred barrels. In fact, I think it says 3 years. It's aged 3 years in charred white oak and then finished for an additional year in the Acre Rum. And I just sampled Acre Rum this last week, and it was very good. So that's why I think this whiskey is going to be my favorite to win. When I bought this last year, I shared it with a neighbor. We sat on the front porch and opened this bottle and drank it, and we both loved it. It was amazing. So, and you could get that rum flavor. So yeah, $48 at the distillery, but it has not been distributed. So sorry, you can't get it in the liquor stores. You've got to get it from the distillery. Acre Distillery was started also in 2015 by Tony Formby. And Tony was the former majority owner of the Raw Brewery in Fort Worth, which is my favorite brewery, by the way. And so there's a lot of Fort Worth going on with this bottle. So it's Fort Worth against Houston is what we've got going up here on this matchup. So my wife has mixed these glasses up after we noted which glass. The glasses are numbered, and then we know which number goes with which bottle. But we poured them, and then she mixed them up and brought them out to me. So technically speaking, I don't know which is which. They're both 100 proof. They're both Texas whiskeys. So we'll see if I can pick out which is which by appearance, nose, and taste, and then decide the winner. So I'm going to start by holding these up and viewing them. All right, the one on my left is noticeably lighter than the one on my right. The one on the right is darker. Now I know that the Acre Texas Rye has been aged for a total of 4 years. And that last year, it's in a rum cask, not a wine cask, but a rum cask. I don't know if that affects the color. The Giant is just a straight rye whiskey, and so I think that can be aged for 2 years to be called a straight rye. Let me look on here. This bottle says that it's a certified Texas whiskey, so I like that. And why the Acre guys don't have that, I don't know. They should, because there is a Texas. Theirs is a Texas whiskey too. This is, where's my barrel number 1319. Okay, this says it aged a minimum of 2 years. That's what I thought for a straight rye whiskey. So you've got 2 years versus 4 years. I'm thinking the one on my right, your left, is going to be the 4-year-old whiskey, so that's probably Acre. Okay, so I'm going to set it down here by the Acre bottle. So that's the appearance, and I tend to favor darker whiskeys just aesthetically, so advantage to this one. Now we're going to do the nose. I'll start with this one on the left that I think is Giant. I actually can smell something there, so that's odd. My nose is just inadequate. A little bit of caramel. I mean, really, that kind of smells like a bourbon. A little bit of spice notes, but not really rye. Maybe Texas funk. So it's a pleasant nose, but faint, very, very faint. Now this one on my right. Not a strong nose either. A little bit of a sweet aroma coming up. Not really getting any rye spice there either. Maybe fruit. And this has got a kind of a fruit scent coming up here. So both have a not a strong nose, but I'm going to give advantage to this one. It's a little bit stronger, and I'm getting some very nice fruit smells there. So now we're going to go for the all-important tasting. So this is the one on the left that I think is Giant. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been a couple of years since I had this. I forgot how good it is. That's amazing. The proof is coming through. Get lots of mouth tingles, a little bit of a burn going up, but it's a very pleasant burn. And again, I like to burn. I prefer a whiskey with a good, decent burn to one that's smooth and no burn. Now, there's different burns. I don't really want that big burst of ethanol. Nobody likes that. But this is quite good. Definitely the Texas funk is there. A little bit of rye spice in the background. But man, that tastes like some Texas bourbons. So that's just a big burst of caramel and barrel char. You know, Texas whiskeys that have been aged in the climate have a heavy barrel note, heavy char. It's almost smoky. You know, the guys who like peated whiskeys from Scotch peated whiskeys. I've had several of those, and when it comes to just char, Texas whiskeys beat Scotch any day, I think. Just just personal, but okay, that's just delicious. It's very good. I'm thinking that's the Giant, and the rye notes are there, but very muted. You get much more of the bourbon, so I think that's a barely legal rye, and that's fine. Uh, Man, I mean, Wild Turkey 101 is a barely legal rye. Wow, I mean that's amazing. I don't know why I don't know why Giant isn't like in every store. It's just in Total Wine. Okay, the one on the right, I think, is Acre. Just going off of the color and the age of the whiskey. I think it had the better nose. Let's see about the taste. Wow, that doesn't have quite the peppery quality that the first one had. It's there, but it's not as strong. This is a smoother whiskey. I'm getting the sweetness. I think this has got to be the Acre. I think I'm getting some of the rum sweetness there. I'm still getting some of the Texas funk, but it's not as strong as the one on the left, which is odd. If this is Acre, it's 4 years versus the 2 year Giant, and yet the Giant's got much more of the Texas funk than this one. This has got some fruit notes going in. But definitely more of a rye flavor. And the rum is carrying this thing too. I mean, the rum is got a sweetness to it, but the rye flavor is lingering. The rye flavor gets stronger as you go. Yeah, this has got probably a better rye flavor combined with the sweetness of the rum, if this is in fact Acre. The Texas funk is muted a little bit. It's got a long lasting finish, that's for sure. Not quite as sparkly as the other one. Wow, this may be too close to call. Dang, this is going to be hard. I would swear that's a bourbon. I mean, I was getting the corn. The rye is so muted in that one. That's a darn good bourbon. Wow. Okay, one more sip of this one on the right. The rye flavor is definitely there, and it's kind of almost absent in the one on my left, and it's got a long finish. I mean, that rye flavor is still going, as well as the sweetness of the rum. If that, in fact, is the Acre, that rum is still there. The rye is still there. I mean, that's a long finish. Both of these are phenomenal whiskeys. Man, if you offered me either of these, it'd be a hard, hard to pick. So I'm going to have to go by the rules. The rules are I'm really emphasizing rye flavor on this. And I pulled that out of my hat to make these rules because I knew this was going to be hard to decide between some of these Texas whiskeys. You get two whiskeys with a little bit of Texas funk, which I love. The Giant wins on the Texas funk side. The Acre, if that's what this is, wins on the rye side. And I'm judging rye whiskeys. So I'm going to say the one on the right is, in fact, the winner. And I think that it is Acre. So we will see. Let's hold up. See, we've got little, if this is Acre, it should say number 1 on the bottom. And it says number 1. So that is, in fact, the Acre. And this has a 2. That is, in fact, Giant. So Acre wins just by a nose hair in this competition. I mean, those were two amazing whiskeys. Acre wins because it had more rye flavor, and that rye flavor carried it through. Now here's the story. In the one of the, like, I think it was the first matchup, I had the Acre Texas Rye 80 proof versus the Blackland Rye 83 proof. And I picked Acre Texas Rye to win because it's just amazing. But here's why it lost to Blackland. Blackland had a stronger rye flavor. Now it's 3 points higher on the proof scale. I think that helped it. What hurt the Acre Texas Rye 80 proof is the Texas funk dominated the rye flavor. But here in the 100 proof Acre, the rye flavor came through, but the Texas Giant here, the rye flavor was muted, and I think it's a mash bill, a barely legal rye. So I think that's why Acre wins. All right, we've got a winner. Now, for next week, we've got the Balcones Rye 100 versus the Blackland Rye 100. Now, the Blackland 83 won. As I just said, they beat out Acre. But Balcones Rye has been one of my all-time favorites for a long time. But here's the deal. Balcones Rye is so different. It's so odd. Anybody who drinks Balcones Rye mentions how odd that whiskey is. It's a favorite of mine. But Blackland Rye, I think, has a strong rye flavor. So who's going to win next week? We shall see. Well, this is Stab the Dragon out here.